here is an earlier version of just the orb on its own, and this is what we're going to recreate. In this first section, we're gonna look at various selection modes related to modeling. So if I go to the primitives menu, let's get a platonic. This is going to be our starting point, and you may be doing this kind of thing a lot if you are modeling, which is to say you begin with a primitive shape and then build on from that. So let's go to the platonic, and under type in the object settings, I'm going to choose Bucky. And then I'm going to hit C to make it editable. So one of the things I need to do is to get rid of these lines which cut across the various polygons that make up this whole shape. So you can see I was able to just select them there. That's because I was in this edges mode. That's one of the modeling modes you can be in. The other one is point. That's the first one on this list here. And that allows you to move points around. And I'm using the live selection tool for this, which is just the normal tool, right? You can adjust the size of the brush, by the way, if you use the square brackets key, a bit like you can in Photoshop, for those of you familiar with that program. Or you can use the radius over here too. It works basically the same. This is the normal selection mode, but you could change this to something like soft selection. And now you see when I select one of the points, there is a sort of radius of influence to the rest of the points around this one. And when I move it back, you see depending on the radius, the points will move more or less. So this soft selection can be used to sort of reshape areas of your geometry in general. Obviously, this kind of thing would be more suitable for more organic looking geometries rather than this, which looks very blocky and mechanic. But anyway, the soft selection has some options, such as the radius, which you would adjust based on the size of the object. So we can make it smaller or larger. The strength, of course, just controls how strong that influence is going to be. And then you have, the width, again, just to affect how that area is selected. And the type of fall off can also be changed for a different selection altogether. Let's go back to normal, and I would change from live selection to rectangle selection, which, as the name suggests, you draw a rectangle and anything that's contained within that will be selected. Lasso, you can just draw the selection area, and then polygon, once again you draw it, but it's lines instead of sort of freestyle. Okay, so those are the various selection modes, and by the way, these will work at this geometric level or for objects in general which are in the scene. So we've already talked about point mode. Let's look at edges mode, which, as the name suggests, is used for selecting edges like this. And I'm holding shift here to add to the selection, or I can hold control to subtract. And then polygon mode is used to select the individual faces that make up my geometry here. So let's continue. We are going to go to edges mode because we want to get rid of these points, or these lines rather, which cut on each of these polygons. Now, it wouldn't take too long to do this manually, but there is another way I could do this in this particular example. Because all the lines I want to select are laying flat on these surfaces, it means they have a 0-degree angle, whereas all the lines I want to keep, those lines have some kind of angle. So I can actually use that information to select one set of lines or the other. To do this, I am going to go to select and form break selection, or the shortcut for that is U followed by N. And when you press the first part of this shortcut, you can see all the various shortcuts which you can pick from this menu. So U and N. Anyway, in this phone break selection, we can see a preview of what would be selected right now if I were to execute this function. It's based on the angle of the lines. So, with this value of 8 degrees, I would be able to select these edges, which you can see highlighted in blue. But if I keep putting this up past a certain point, nothing is being detected by this range. But if I go all the way down to 0, you see it selects all of the lines. So here I would just want to be above 0, and I can select these lines. So let's do that. Then in selection, I can invert the selection to select the lines I actually want to get, which is the ones going across the polygons. So that's how the phone break selection works. It can be useful if you want to quickly select a set of edges, if you can use the angles to do that. Anyway, I'm going to right click here and dissolve, and that's how we get rid of those lines. And so you've just seen one of the various modeling tools which you can use in Cinema 4D, and there's a whole lot more which you can see here. And depending on which mode you're in, this will either change, and you can see in polygon mode, for example, that has the longest list of various modeling tools you can use in that mode.